and welcome to In the Court of the Wenton King. Last week I realised I didn't actually have the third studio album. It's only when I was reading it on that box set, and I thought, oh yeah, it's not there, is it? And I realised actually I've never heard it. But somehow, this sort of passed my brain. It doesn't make any sense, does it? I've had the best of Mahavishnu Orchestra for 25 years. It might have been the first jazz album I ever bought. Never buy compilations. I'll buy compilations because I'm not going to buy any more albums by this band. I've got this theory of familiarity is a problem with videos. The idea of I'm supposed to be sort of spouting the accepted wisdom because I know the album so well, and it's hard to and then someone's supposed to be getting the new just 1 week listening thing. But I think the over familiarity actually doesn't lead to contempt, but it leads to it's excellent, I suppose. Yeah, it's alright. Whereas this seems amazing. Oh my god, this is ace. Sometimes it's just the right time. You have to hear something at the right time. It's just it's just the way it goes. It's a different band completely. I'll probably talk about that in a minute. With the LSO, they do a better job than they did with Zappa, I think. That's another story. It's pretty stunning stuff. Orchestral, fantastic, accessible, rocking, epic, sprawling, funky stuff. Some of my favourite McLaughlin playing, I think, and produced by George Martin. And I wonder if this inspired Jeff Beck actually to play with to get George Martin in.
Yeah, it's good. What can you say? This is probably better than the other two, which is really problematic.
Yeah,
because
not supposed to be.
No,
we're disagreeing. We're wrong.
Yeah. It's kind of thrown my egging out a little bit. It really starts there's a familiar feel to the beginning. I think it's sort of Taxi Driver.
Oh yeah,
is it Travis Bickle? Sort of music in that.
Yeah.
That sort of kind of, but really quite interesting. It's a bit confusing because normally we look at an album. We do a run of 3 albums, and generally there's a bit of an arc there. There's a sort of you can see how they got to their great album from this. This is kind of great, but it's not, it's not all the way there yet. It's going to be realised. Mm-hmm. Almost like they're kind of like sketches, when you talk of painting, you see these sketches where they're not quite, they're not fully developed works of art. They're, jotting ideas, which I don't think's really that fair for music, because I think every album is sort of like a complete work of art, but we tend to look at it like that. And that's probably how I viewed Mahavishnu Orchestra for the last 2 albums. As sort of sketches, the experimentations in what could be. This is different, and it sounds good. Ooh, what can we do with that then? How could we incorporate that into a bigger piece with something else? Mm-hmm. And it kind of got there last week. It kind of felt they'd actually found something. Yeah. Whereas the first one definitely felt like that. When that's all undermined by this really, but the fact that it's a completely different band. Yeah, smashes it all to pieces because it can't possibly, the last 2 aren't a work in progress towards this.
Doesn't make sense if it's a different band.
This is something completely different.
Yeah.
But there is something that the common streak in there. There is definitely an attempt to one of the things about prog is trying to use familiar ways of making music to make something that sounds different, or use unfamiliar ways of making music to make something that sounds familiar, if you know what I mean. Incorporate different things and that. So there's a little bit of that going on. It's not standard in any sense of the word, as you would expect from Mahavishnu Orchestra, but yeah, it just sounds brilliant, doesn't it? It sounds very good.
Yeah, it's just awesome music.
Yeah, it's just awesome
orchestral
music.
Fusion stuff.
The muted guitar is it's really quite good. Muted guitar, I don't know if I've ever really gone in for it. It's not typical rock, is it? But it just,
I suppose it is now, but only on the bottom string.
Yeah. It just shows, what you can do when you're doing things slightly different. Quite guys. I think that's a sperm there.
Oh, why do you have to say that? Oh no,
I'm sorry.
It is, isn't it?
I don't know. Oh, probably not.
Quite fireball, isn't it? Yeah. When you realise it probably is. Given it's quite funny, this Sri Chinmoy stuff, and again, once again, what I assume was the back cover of the record, but is now inside, is a poem by Sri Chinmoy again, and his thing was Inner Peace. The title of the band comes from that stuff. And it is quite funny. I mean, this intense music. There's nothing inner peace about Mahavishnu, and also the band broke up because of songwriting arguments. But oh man, in a piece, man, we all know each other. They're trying to kill each other. Ah! It's like, Yes fans are the most negative bunch of people. He used to go on Alt Music, Yes. They're just so cynical. And, oh, he's not playing well. They used to play better, I don't like it now. And then, King Crimson fans are the most chilled people. It's really bizarre. So much for Inner Peace. Yeah, I mean, the familiarity thing is a thing where, because I don't know it, it's like, it's new, oh my god. Juxtaposition. Rather than just doing it all the time, it rarely goes mental, but when it does go mental, it leaps out and murders you. It's, the ending is, It's not jaw-dropping if you do it all the time, then you've just got your mouth open. That's what it is, isn't it? It doesn't get going until halfway through the 14-minute second track, really. It's all orchestral stuff, and you don't hear fusion jamming until then. So that, and that's great, and there's nothing wrong with that because it builds, man. We didn't do Nothingness and Eternity, controversial, but it is a live album. It was a live album of new material though, and they did record studio versions of that material. That's the Trident Sessions, which wasn't released until later. So that is kind of the third album, sort of. But then we would have had the thing of, it's more of the same, it's great, and we wouldn't have anything to say. So here we've got something to say, so that's what it's all about. I wonder if there was a sort of one-upsmanship in that, I can do this without you. I'm going to get the more famous violin player. I'm going to get George Martin to produce, and I'm going to get an orchestra. It's going to be the LSO. It's amazing. George Martin supposedly said it's one of the best records he's ever made, which is quite funny. Jean-Luc Ponty, obviously. This must have been just after he left the Zappa band. If you can get some of that Jean-Luc Ponty stuff, it's great. There's not a lot released of it. There is a whole concert on YouTube, actually. Which I don't know why that's not been released. He's more classical than Goodman, Jerry Goodman, I think. There's less sort of attack. Maybe he's got more technique, but I don't hear the intensity. Then again, because of the style of music being different, that's probably what's going to happen.
I mean, it's weird you say the jazz fusion thing doesn't start till midway through the second track. No point listening to this, do I think, I'm listening to a jazz fusion album.
Yeah, because it's not doing that all the time. You think jazz fusion, you think it's going to sound like that all the time.
Yeah, which is great, actually. Actually, you're not I wasn't categorising it at all in any way. I wasn't saying, this is jazz fusion or anything like that. I was just enjoying it.
It's an album of awesome stuff.
Yeah.
That's the best way to do it, isn't it? I mean, I love track 2. I mean, the title again, terrible titles. Vision is a naked sword. I don't like that. It's got this lovely intro, but man, when it gets going. It might be my favourite. Like you said, it's got that muted guitar thing in the middle. There does seem to be a jarring edit at the end of that jam bit, and it goes straight back into the orchestral riff. They must have jammed for too long, and they had to, George Martin had to edit. Controversially, I'm not necessarily in terms of an engineer. If indeed really George Martin did that, I'm not sure he was that great. He's producer from the other end of things, I think, really from an artistic point of view. You've got Can't Buy Me Love. You can hear the guide guitar solo under the guitar solo. That's terrible. Even for 1964, that's terrible. George Martin should have been the one to deal with that. He didn't. So interesting. But yeah, that theme. From Vision is a Naked Sword. Dun, 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 dun. That's Dan Mayer from the first album. And on the first album, it just doesn't have the rest. It just carries on. But it's a great riff, so why not? Strange that there's no mention of it. I googled it and I tried to find some mention of it. There's no mention of it. Track 3, though, it's got singing on it. I mean, you heard a segment of that, you think it was sort of easy listening. I mean, which is quite a change from Birds of Fire. But it's really good because of the whole thing. And you've got some funky bound guitar in the middle. It doesn't relate anything to the singy bit at all. There's also, track 4, you've got the old Phrygian Indian scale, or harmonic minor, or whatever it is, metal thing, with an orchestra. Who'd have thought doing that with an orchestra? It's quite funny. I don't think McLaughlin doesn't do his solo over that bit. His soloing bit isn't on that mode. He does some weird jazzy thing that scares me. So that's quite funny that, that's such a stereotype of rock music from 80s onwards. And he didn't do it. And there it was, and he didn't do it. But yeah, like I said, that final denouement at the end of Hymn to Him, which is the worst title I've ever heard in my life, is amazing. Is oh my god! When they all come together, the orchestra and the band, and I really thought about this morning. I didn't think this until this morning. I was thinking of Six Eggs because it does everything. And like you said, it's not. You can't say it's fusion. You can't say it's orchestral. It's just an album of stuff that's amazing, and you can call it prog, but of course doesn't really mean anything. Why not? I'm going to give that 6 eggs. It's 6 eggs. Get it? It's awesome.
It is awesome. But the thing is, I don't think the musicianship's that good.
Yeah, they're terrible players.
They can't play
Yeah.
their instruments very well. So
Yeah. Well, last week we didn't. We only talked about the songs. We didn't even mention how great the musicianship was.
So
I didn't say that Bree Cobham is jaw-droppingly amazing. At all. It wasn't there. If you hadn't watched the video, you'd think that anyway.
So given that,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to give it 2 eggs
Oh yeah, never mind.
or 5. See, this is the problem. I'm not going to give it 6 eggs. 6 eggs is hallowed 6 egg.
Yes, it has to be protected.
Yeah,
You're
it's something amazing. That because I've not listened to it long enough to say this is 6 eggs, definitely 6 eggs, and it's always going to be 6 eggs. So I've got to give it 5, which is the inherent problem with that is I gave the last 2 albums 5, didn't I? Or did I give the first one 4?
I think 4 and 5.
4 and 5. This is better than the last album.
It is. It's a top 5.
Yeah, it's a top 5. Top 5 going on 6.
Ooh.
Yeah, this is a top recommendation from the Wentino boys.
We've got to do the playlist, haven't we? We've got to do a Mahavishnu playlist. Won't take very long. So next week, I've got a plan for next week. Shall I announce who we're doing next week?
Yeah, go on.
Henry Cowell. It's time to do them. It had to be done. Another obvious one. See you next week.
You still be having obvious ones. What episode are we on?
177.
How can this still be obvious?